Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Sarosh and I'm a foundation level student at Rahman School at Campus Islamabad, and today I'm doing my ChatGPT and my topic is tracing the evolution of awareness. So let's start with the ChatGPT. Can you listen?
Yes, absolutely, Sarosh. I can hear you perfectly. I'm really excited about your topic. Tracing the evolution of awareness sounds super interesting. What aspect would you like to dive into first, or is there a particular angle you're thinking of exploring?
So ChatGPT, today I have some questions for you. Can we start it?
Of course, I'd be happy to help. Just let me know what kind of questions you have or what format you'd like, whether it's multiple choice, open ended, or a different style, and we can jump right in.
Okay, so ChatGPT, my first question is that what is consciousness? Is the simplest term.
Great starting point. In the simplest terms, consciousness is basically our awareness. It's that inner experience of being aware of ourselves and the world around us. It's what lets us feel, think, and have subjective experiences. So it's like the stage on which all our thoughts and perceptions play out.
Okay, so ChatGPT, my next question is that why are women aware of themselves?
That's a really profound question. Humans are aware of themselves due to a complex interplay of cognitive, neurological, and evolutionary factors. From an evolutionary perspective, self awareness likely provided a survival advantage, allowing us to reflect on our actions, predict outcomes, and plan for the future. Neurologically, self awareness arises from the integration of various brain systems, especially the prefrontal cortex, which helps us monitor our thoughts and experiences. Psychologically, self awareness also enables introspection, giving rise to personal identity, moral reasoning, and a sense of purpose. In short, human self awareness is a remarkable product of biology, social interaction, and cognitive complexity, shaping how we relate to ourselves and others in the world.
ChatGPT, can you tell me that is consciousness unique to humans?
That's a really interesting point. While humans have a particularly advanced form of self awareness, consciousness isn't entirely unique to us. Many animals show forms of awareness, like primates, dolphins, or even some birds. However, what tends to set humans apart is the depth and complexity of our conscious thought. We can reflect on the past, imagine the future, question our own existence, and create abstract ideas. So while basic awareness may exist in other species, the nuanced, layered consciousness we have is quite distinct.
Okay, so my next question is that how do scientists define awareness?
Great question. Scientists typically define awareness as a state of being conscious of something. It's the ability to have experiences and to direct attention to aspects of the internal or external world. Neuroscientists, for example, study awareness by looking at brain activity, such as which neural networks activate when we perceive something or when we reflect. Psychologists often measure awareness by exploring how people report their subjective experiences, like in introspective reports or attentional tasks. Philosophers.
Okay, so ChatGPT, my next question is that what is the difference between mind and consciousness?
That's a really important distinction. The mind is a broader concept. It encompasses all mental processes like thoughts, emotions, memories, and perceptions. It's like the whole system that produces mental life. Consciousness, on the other hand, is a subset of the mind. It's the awareness part. In other words, all conscious experiences are mental events, but not all mental events are conscious. For instance, we process many things subconsciously, like language or basic motor skills, without being actively aware. So the mind is the whole mental landscape, while consciousness is that specific spotlight of awareness that lets us experience and reflect on the world.
So ChatGPT, my next question is that can consciousness exist without thought?
That's a fascinating question. Many philosophers and some scientists think that consciousness can exist without active thought. For example, during meditative states, people often describe a sense of pure awareness, just being present without thinking about anything in particular. Neuroscientific studies also show that certain brain regions can be active even when we aren't thinking specific thoughts, like during a calm, empty mental state. So, in short, consciousness is often considered broader than just thought. It's that baseline, raw awareness that can exist even in the absence of active mental chatter.
So ChatGPT, tell me that why is consciousness still a mystery?
Consciousness remains a mystery because we still don't fully understand how subjective experience arises from physical processes in the brain. We can map brain activity, but we don't know why certain patterns create rich first person experiences. This gap is often called the hard problem of consciousness. Additionally, consciousness is deeply personal and subjective. something we each live from the inside. So it's hard to study with traditional scientific tools. Philosophers, neuroscientists, and psychologists all grapple with this puzzle, trying to bridge the gap between brain function and the felt experience. Until we find a clearer mechanism, consciousness remains one of the greatest scientific and philosophical challenges.
So ChatGPT tell me that is awareness connected to intelligence?
That's a really thought provoking link to consider. Awareness and intelligence are related, but they aren't the same thing. Intelligence often refers to the ability to solve problems, reason, and adapt to new situations, while awareness is more about being consciously tuned into your surroundings and inner states. In some ways, higher intelligence can facilitate deeper self awareness because you can analyze, predict, and understand your own mental processes. But awareness doesn't always guarantee intelligence. You can be vividly aware of your emotions or environment without necessarily being adept at abstract reasoning. So while they often reinforce each other, awareness and intelligence are distinct aspects of the human mind, each shaping how we engage with the world in different ways.
Okay, so my next question is that how do we know we are conscious and can consciousness be fully explained scientifically?
That's a deep one. We know we're conscious because we have a continuous stream of subjective experiences, our own inner world that we can reflect on. Even though we can't directly measure someone else's inner life, we infer it from expressions, behaviors, and verbal reports. As for a scientific explanation, that's still a work in progress. Neuroscience can link certain brain states to conscious experience. For example, specific neural patterns correlate with awareness. But the why those patterns give rise to a mixed subjective experience, is still elusive. Some researchers believe consciousness might be a fundamental aspect of reality, while others hope a complete neurobiological theory will emerge. So while we have significant scientific progress, a full explanation of consciousness, why it feels like something, is still an open question.
So my next question is that how did consciousness evolve in living beings and did primate organisms have basic awareness?
That's a really intriguing topic. Most scientists think that consciousness evolved gradually as a kind of adaptive advantage. Early life likely had very simple forms of responsiveness, like detecting light or chemical cues. Over time, more complex nervous systems allowed simple awareness, basically being aware of certain stimuli. As organisms became more complex, so did their awareness, like in fish, reptiles, and mammals. Primates, for instance, show a greater degree of self recognition and intentional behavior, which hints at early forms of self awareness. So, yes, even primitive organisms likely had some basic awareness, just enough to react to their environment. But the rich reflective consciousness we have today is thought to have evolved step by step, driven by increasingly complex nervous systems and social states.
So my next question is that why did evolution favor conscious being?
That's a really fascinating point. Evolution likely favored consciousness because it gave organisms a flexible advantage. Being conscious means you can anticipate dangers, plan for the future, and adjust your behavior in complex environments. Instead of just reacting reflexively, conscious beings can learn from past experiences, make nuanced decisions, and cooperate in social groups. For early humans, this meant better problem solving, more advanced tool use, and more complex social structures, all of which helped survival. In short, consciousness gave living beings a more adaptable, forward thinking edge in the ever changing landscape of evolution.
Okay, so ChatGPT, my next question is that what role did survival play in awareness and did emotions evolve before intelligence?
That's a great line of inquiry. Survival played a huge role in the development of awareness. Basic awareness helped early organisms detect threats, find food, and navigate their environments. Over time, this awareness became more refined, allowing animals to anticipate outcomes, recognize patterns, and make smarter decisions, all crucial for survival. As for emotions, many researchers believe they evolved even before complex intelligence. Emotions are quick, automatic responses, like fear, pleasure, or anger, that helped early creatures survive by prompting immediate actions. In this way, emotions gave a fast, survival driven edge, while intelligence emerged later to help analyze and plan. Together, emotions and awareness form a powerful partnership, guiding both instinctive and reflective responses that boost survival and adaptation.
So my next question is that how did early humans develop self-awareness?
That's a really intriguing question. Early humans likely developed self awareness through a mix of social and cognitive evolution. As humans began living in larger, more complex social groups, they needed to understand themselves in relation to others, leading to mirror recognition, perspective taking, and self reflection. The development of language was also crucial. as it gave early humans a way to talk about themselves, remember their past, and imagine future selves. Over generations, these social and linguistic developments created a kind of internal spotlight, enabling early humans to recognize themselves as separate individuals, capable of introspection and long term self awareness.
ChatGPT, my next question is that did language expand human consciousness?
Absolutely. Language is often seen as a key driver in expanding human consciousness. By giving us a symbolic system to represent abstract ideas, language lets us think about concepts far beyond immediate experience. It allows us to share memories, imagine future possibilities, and reflect on abstract notions like morality or purpose.
Interaction shape awareness.
Social interaction played a huge role in shaping awareness. As humans began living in complex social groups, they needed to understand not just their own perspective, but also the perspectives of others. By navigating relationships, observing reactions, and learning social cues, early humans started to differentiate themselves as individuals. This led to a more reflective awareness, understanding their own role, intentions, and engagements in a social context. Over time, this social awareness helped foster empathy, self regulation, and a deeper sense of identity. So essentially, we became aware of ourselves through the eyes of others, shaping a more nuanced self understanding.
So ChatGPT tell me that what made human consciousness more advanced?
That's a really great question. Human consciousness likely became more advanced due to a combination of factors, especially the scale and complexity of social life, language, and culture. As humans formed larger interdependent societies, they needed to plan, strategize, and communicate abstract concepts. Language was a big catalyst, allowing us to express not just immediate sensations, but also complex memories, hypothetical scenarios, and abstract reasoning. Moreover, as early humans reflected on their own mental states, they gained a richer sense of self. These social, linguistic, and reflective capacities allowed human consciousness to become more nuanced, abstract, and self aware. So it's really a gradual evolution, driven by the interplay of language, social complexity, and cognitive growth.
So ChatGPT could consciousness continue evolving in the future?
Absolutely. Consciousness likely will continue evolving, especially as we interact more with technology such as AI or brain computer interfaces. As we develop better tools to map brain activity and understand cognitive processes, we might refine our self awareness or even expand it. Plus, as society and culture evolve, our sense of what it means to be conscious may also broaden. So it's a dynamic, ongoing process, shaped by both biology and culture.
Okay, so my next question is that which part of the brain controls consciousness?
That's a great question. Consciousness doesn't come from just one single part of the brain. It's really a network of regions working together. The prefrontal cortex plays a huge role, especially in self awareness and reflective thought. The posterior cortex, like the parietal and occipital lobes, helps integrate sensory information so we have a unified experience of the world. The thalamus acts like a relay hub, passing info to different areas, and the default mode network, which links. So consciousness is a dynamic product of many interacting brain systems, rather than a single on-off switch.
Okay, that's a great answer. So tell me that how do neurons create awareness and is memory necessary for consciousness?
That's a fascinating connection. Neurons create awareness by firing in highly coordinated patterns, especially in large scale networks like the default mode network or those linking the prefrontal cortex and sensory areas. Through these synchronized signals, neurons encode information, allowing us to perceive, process, and integrate experiences into a unified awareness. As for memory, it's often considered essential for consciousness. Memory lets us connect past experiences to present awareness, giving us a continuous sense of self. Without memory, each moment might feel isolated, but memory grounds us in time, allowing us to recognize patterns, build expectations, and reflect on who we are. So memory and awareness are deeply intertwined.
So ChatGPT tell me that why do women have inner thoughts?
That's a really interesting aspect of consciousness. Inner thoughts, often called inner speech or self talk, likely evolved as a tool for problem solving and planning. By talking to ourselves silently, we can organize thoughts, rehearse actions, and reflect on abstract ideas. This inner dialogue helps us navigate complex social situations, remember past experiences, and even regulate emotions. In a way, inner thoughts let us be our own observers, giving us a private space to process, understand, and guide our behavior. So they're kind of mental scaffolding that supports self awareness and complex thinking.
So ChatGPT can brain injuries after awareness, and how did sleep affect consciousness?
Yes, absolutely. Brain injuries can profoundly alter awareness. Depending on the location and severity, people might lose self awareness, struggle with attention, or have fragmented consciousness. For example, damage to the frontal lobes can affect executive awareness, while injuries to sensory regions can alter how we perceive the world. Sleep, on the other hand, is crucial for consciousness. During sleep, especially in REM stages, the brain consolidates memories, processes emotions, and even keeps some form of dream-like awareness active. Without proper sleep, our ability to maintain a stable, reflective consciousness declines. So both brain injuries and sleep play vital roles in shaping how we experience awareness.
So ChatGPT, my next question is that why do dream feel real?
That's a really intriguing aspect of consciousness. Dreams feel real because the brain activates many of the same sensory, emotional, and memory processing networks that we use when we're awake. During REM sleep, the brain's visual cortex and limbic system are especially active, creating vivid imagery and strong emotions. Plus, the prefrontal cortex, which usually grounds us in logical reasoning, is less active, so we don't always critically analyze the dream. That blend of sensory detail, emotion, and reduced logic tricks us into feeling like we're fully immersed, even though it's all happening inside our minds.
So ChatGPT is subconsciousness thinking part of awareness.
That's the subtle distinction. Consciousness is the broader state of being aware. It's like the baseline experience of having a mind, sensing the world and feeling things. Thinking, on the other hand, is one part of that. It's a specific mental process within consciousness. So you can be conscious without actively thinking, like when you're just aware of a sound or a feeling. But when you think, like reasoning, planning, and reflecting, that's a conscious process that's happening within that awareness. So
So
thinking is just one of
ChatGPT, can emotion change perception of reality?
Absolutely. Emotions have a big impact on how we perceive reality. When we're happy, we might notice positive details more easily. When we're anxious, we might focus on threats or dangers. Emotions color our interpretations. They can make a situation feel more intense or more dull. Neuroscientifically, emotional centers like the amygdala interact with sensory processing, so emotions can amplify or dampen how we experience things. In short, emotions act like a lens, shaping what we notice, how we interpret it, and even how we remember it. So yes, they really do shape it.
Okay, so my next question is that how does attention influence consciousness?
Great question. Attention acts like a spotlight within consciousness. It selects which aspects of our environment or inner world we focus on at any given moment. When we direct attention, we bring certain thoughts, sensations, or perceptions into clearer awareness while ignoring others. This focusing ability is crucial because it shapes the content of what we consciously experience, like deciding whether we tune into a song, a memory, or a conversation. In a sense, attention is what filters the vast sea of stimuli, letting us consciously engage with what matters most.
Okay, so my next question is that do we all experience reality? So ChatGPT, my next question is that do we all experience reality differently?
Yes, we do. While we all share a common world, our perception is shaped by our senses, past experiences, emotions, and even culture. For instance, two people might look at the same sunset but feel it differently. One may see beauty, another may feel nostalgia or indifference. Even neurological differences like in synesthesia or autism can reshape how reality is felt and interpreted. So yes, our unique brains, senses, and contexts mean that reality is never experienced in exactly the same way by any two people.
So my next question is that how do senses shape awareness?
That's a great question. Our senses are really the gateways to awareness. They provide the raw data about the world, which our brain then interprets and integrates. For instance, vision gives us rich spatial detail, hearing helps us track events, and touch grounds us in physical reality. As we process sensory input, attention selects what we focus on, and memory links those sensations to meaning. So, in a way, our entire conscious experience is shaped by how well our senses capture reality and how effectively our brain turns it into a seamless awareness.
So ChatGPT, can perception be trusted completely?
That's a really important point. Perception is crucial, but it's not always fully reliable. Our brains fill in gaps, interpret ambiguous signals, and are influenced by expectations or emotions. Optical illusions, for example, show how easily perception can be tricked. Plus, cultural and personal biases can color how we interpret events. So, while perception is a
Okay.
crucial
So my next question is that why do illusion for the brain?
Great question. Illusions fool the brain because it relies on shortcuts and assumptions to interpret the world. Our brains evolved to quickly make sense of patterns, depth, and motion, but sometimes these shortcuts lead us astray. For example, in an optical illusion, the brain might misjudge size, perspective, or motion because it's basing its guess on prior experiences or expectations. Essentially, illusions exploit the gap between what the brain expects and what's actually there. So they're a fascinating window into how our perception works.
So, viewers, this is my chat GPT. Hope so you like it. Meet you in the next video. Pakistan, Zindabad.